Welcome to this PvP gameplay video. We are going to cover 20 tips and tricks today to help you in PvP and give you some tips and tricks that you may have not have known and the big differences between PvE and PvP. Our first tip today is going to be raids. Raids are very important because you get good resources, and in PvE they're amazing and you can do them fast. You can spend a lot of time building. However, in PvP they're a little bit more dangerous. You still get all those exact same resources, they work the exact same way, but now they highlight your squad. So if you watch, see that big blue light? Every other squad can see that as well. So in PvP gameplay, one of the best ways to get resources is to go kill another squad and loot their bodies. So this tip has two parts. You highlight yourself as that you are currently distracted and doing a raid. It also means if you see someone else doing it that you know they're distracted and doing a raid, which makes them an easy target. Here is the max distance that you can see it from. So if we take a look at this, you can see if I zoom in on the map, looks to be about over a third of a kilometer and under a half of a kilometer, and each box is 1 full kilometer. So now I'm going to adjust the settings so you can see that this is the same for high or maximum settings. So if you're running around and you see somebody with a beacon up like this, you know that they're distracted, they're an easy target. You can kind of come on in, see if they have no turrets up, and if they don't, maybe you can run in, get an easy kill, loot one of the bodies, and then you can extract safely and get whatever loot they have, whatever weapons, ammo, stuff like that. Now you could get attacked as well, of course, whenever you're doing it. So what I would recommend is putting some random turrets out in the trees or having a lookout. If you put turrets out in the trees, you'll hear them go off. If you have a lookout, they can see them. Just ideas. So now the risk versus reward part of the raids. So one thing to remember, you can just keep rerunning old raids. You can keep rerunning level 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 if you really wanted to, and just keep redoing those for that chance at getting high loot. So those waves are shorter, so you can just run them faster and have less active time actually doing raids. However, I would also say, remember, if you fail a raid, it's really not a big deal. Nothing really bad happens. So taking a quick look through the rewards and raids is the exact same as PvE, but now a lot of this stuff matters so much more. These ether shards matter so much more because you are sprinting to level up and buy stuff in PvE. Your goal is to sprint to level 31. So all of this right here, like 16 inorganic salt, 9 electronic parts, that is a massive win. Which brings us to your XP goals. Whenever you first load into PvP, you should be rushing to find somewhere to put down a minimal base and then level up to level 31. If somebody's level 31 or above and they're kitted to their level and you're below that and you're not kitted, odds are they're going to win the battle against you every time. So right now I'm farming XP from foxes. I really don't need the meat. You can do this trees, rocks, anything at all that's going to get you XP. You want to get XP, and we're going to talk more about wood farming here in a bit. All right, dangers of mines. What is the danger of a mine? Okay, so look, this is a salt mine. I need salt for gunpowder. Guess what? Everyone else does too. So if you are here, you need to watch out for other players because this is where people are going to come and you have a high chance of running into other players, which brings us to binoculars. So people do not realize how amazing binoculars are. So I am hundreds of meters away and I can see that this person's wood gate is like this. I can scope in right here super close and I can see their PvP repair time. Is it auto repairing? What's its current health at? Compared to me running up there in person to take a look at it, I have to get so much closer. I have to risk being seen. I have to risk auto turrets. I have to risk turrets. It's very dangerous. So the binoculars are an amazing way for you to stay far away from the enemy, far out of their detection range, but also get valuable information on enemy bases to decide if you want to raid them. And this is just an example of me taking a look at a ballista from across the map, very safe, well outside of its danger range, and now I know a lot of information about it. So obviously the mine has the same dangers as PvE, but now whenever you're at half health from the NPC, there's a chance that a real player can roll up, finish you off, and take all your loot. So with that, let's talk about how to do this fast. So if you don't have the rifle, that's fine, accept the health risk, and what you're going to do is sprint forward and fire with the shotgun. Here in a second, I'm going to pull out my break barrel shotgun, and you're going to see that later in the video. But if it's the 2-barrel shotgun, or if it's the pump action, or even the annihilator, the shotgun is really good, and you do not need to get as close as you think you do, so long as you're getting those headshots. The headshot damage on that shotgun is incredibly overpowered, and then you can get in here and you can loot all this. So watch what happens to me. Take a look at my health. This is a tip to help you kill people. So if you're driving past a mine or running past a mine, even if you don't need the resource, pop in there and take a look. Maybe you can go finish off another player and get the loot. So right now, if somebody were to take me down, they would get my weapon, my ammo, all my armor. They'd get so much loot for a very minimal amount of work. So that goes back into our original point. Killing other players is some of the best ways to get loot in this game. Our next is wood and carbon. This makes the list because I was watching some streamers and they were throwing away wood in the early PvP game. If at all possible, do not throw away wood. Put them in a campfire. Do something to turn them into carbon. because the second that you start making gunpowder and steel, you are going to run out of carbon so fast, and you're going to spend so much time farming wood. So save wood and save carbon as you get it. This is going to help you save time in PvP. So next we're going to get into talent points, and talent points in the early game of PvP directly relates to what I said earlier about you need to sprint to level up. So if we go into the talents tree, I'm not going to do any of these others. I'm not going to do the physical stuff, efficiency, combat, or even vehicles. All of my talent points are going to go into survival. Survival is items that's going to get me XP. So in the front, you do not get XP for chopping down a tree. You get XP for each piece of wood you get from a tree. So this is going to give me 8% more wood. This is going to give me faster chopping speed by 20%. This is going to give me a 6% chance per swing to cut down that tree in one blow, which is super OP. So all these are giving you percent buffs to getting wood, which means you're getting a percent buff to getting XP as well. That's how that math works out. And that goes for the rest of everything in here. Herbalist, some of the others, all the ore stuff at the end. Metal miner, I've maxed out. You should max out metal miner as soon as you can. You need iron for so much in the middle game between all the helicopters, vehicle, guns, ammo, iron, steel. You need so much iron. So getting that extra percent is so critical. And then lastly, you're going to want to make sure you get that ore analyst to give you that 10% chance to break ore in one hit and make you faster and more dangerous. So this is to clarify, in PvP, in the front, you cannot skip these. You need to always hit these. Every time that you're on the ground and you see these and you're running, you need to take out your mining tool and you need to gather these resources. I do understand in PvE, you skip them all the time. It's not a big deal. But now going to the mines is a risk that you don't necessarily need to take all the time if you're gathering all these. So if you're going to a place and coming back from a place, whenever you go there, go slightly to the left on the way there and then come slightly to the left on the way back, kind of making an oval. And you can hit basically 2 lines of getting random nodes of resources on the way. So do not skip them. Get the resources. It's going to help you, I promise. So this is another delineation between PvE and PvP. So once you come into PvP, skipping the looting of cars and buildings is not advisable. I know in PvE you can skip a lot of these buildings, but in PvP I really do have to tell you, you need to go in here, because if you run in here and you get 5 concrete walls, that's, less stone that you need, which is less mining that you need, which saves you time, and it also reduces your risk of having to go get that stone. So running in here, hitting up all these loots is always a good idea. So anytime you're running around on the road and you see one of these little trash bins, always stop and take a look. So right here we get 90 copper. That's amazing. That's going to save me so much time. And then in this one right here, stone, mucus, and tungsten. Once again, you get raw resources out of this trash, and it's amazing. So now let's hop into base building. With base building and PvP, it's drastically different than PvE. I don't care about how it looks. I care about its functionality, and is it going to make other people not want to attack me? So the more defenses you have up, the more walls you have up, the more likely someone is to say it's not worth it. And that's what we're going for here. So we're about to go through and we're going to cover some different building tips we've done that makes it a little bit harder for you to get around, but so much harder for an invader to actually find your loot. So let's get into it. So the first thing are these anti-cannon walls that we designed. So basically it's just triangle foundations, and then you put up these walls to where now for them to get inside with a tank, they have to blow through 2 walls minimum to get into it. Even if they were to shoot the foundation out, we put out blanket foundations to make that very difficult to where they can't do that. And even if they did do that, they would blow up a foundation and then still have to blow up the second wall. So no matter how they do it, the fastest way they can get through is 2 walls. So this is the first hallway where if they get in here, they might take some of our furnaces and stuff. Now we go into the second hallway and we're going to start to create confusion. Remember, you know your base, the enemy does not. So if you put up doors that lead nowhere, they don't know that, and there's a solid chance that they spend 3 minutes destroying a door just to realize that it was a complete waste of time. So creating confusion is what you could do with extra doors. So they break into this room, they don't get anything, they eventually break down this door. Okay, so there's 2 more doors, which way are they going to go? So this is how you do it. So, and then when we open this door right here, you're going to see there's some stuff, but it's not everything. So they will never open a door and get all of our stuff. And that's what you can do. This can go on for as long as you want. It works really good if you put it into like a cave or something like that, or like a big crack in the wall that you can kind of go deep. Now let's talk about double dooring. So double door is using the fact that you can put foundations right next to each other. So these are 2 different sections. They're not connected, but the walls are right next to each other. So it doesn't really matter that they're not connected. For all intents and purposes, that is 2 separate walls. So they're going to open that door and immediately have to open another door. It's going to create time. It's going to cause them to slow down. It's going to give me and my squad time to get here if we're on the map. Maybe one of us will just happen to log in. Maybe we'll be able to respawn because they killed us, and we'll be able to get back and try to grab some of our emergency weapons that we hide around our base. So with this, remember, yes, it is going to make it a little bit more difficult for you. You have to open more doors and stuff like that. But all it takes is one time for it to save 1,000 iron in your inventories inside your base's storage to make all of this worth it. So set up a base that's going to stop the enemy and confuse the enemy. Our next tips and tricks are going to cover weapon decisions. So obviously you want a rifle and you want a shotgun, but which should you use the most? Which should you prioritize? The rifle's great for taking care of these NPCs that can shoot you from a distance, but you can also just sprint up with the shotgun. The shotgun is an amazingly overpowered weapon. I highly recommend using it. It's incredibly effective against NPCs and players. On top of that, your ammo, this only uses iron and gunpowder, which means it's completely getting rid of copper. So it's super easy to craft ammo, really reduces the resources you need, which, like we talked about earlier, also reduces the risk of you getting attacked while at a bunch of different mines. So take that for consideration, think about what you want to do, and then figure out what works for you and your squad. Lastly, let's cover the space-time beacon, the PvP settings. So whenever you open this up, you can see that you have PvP protection, and it tells you those 3 hours you're not going to be protected. It's very important that you and your squad set this and understand it. So if you go to defense settings, it's important to note that the first 24 hours you're not protected no matter what, and then after that first 24 hours, that protection time engages. Now that protection time is local time. It's going to be local time to wherever you're at. I did a testing on it with my friend from Germany. We compared time differences and time stamps. It is going to be whatever time you're from. So if that's your local time, do not do what we did. So you can see right here, we're unprotected at 1 in the morning. That's because I thought it was UTC time and I calculated and set it for UTC time. So we set it to 1 to 4, expecting it to be -9 to put it where we wanted, but that did not happen. It's now 1 and 4, and it's going to be like that all week. Whenever you change the setting does not take effect until midnight on Monday. So make sure you know what you want, make sure you're looking at it, and then make sure you get a good setting in there. So one last tip right before we end here, PvP is dangerous. Other players are hostile, and a lot of them can be toxic. So be careful. If you've seen my PvP videos, you know that we got attacked by the same people multiple times for absolutely no reason other than they wanted to hurt us for no gain for them. They didn't really get anything from it. So other players are toxic, so be careful of other players in PvP. I tend to not trust other players and only trust my squad to the best of my ability, so just watch out for other players. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, but before you go, drop a comment. Let me know what you think should be next on our next tips and tricks video. What tips and tricks have you found that you know work really well and you're confused how I don't have it on this video? Or what do you think might work but you want to see some testing on it? And drop me a comment letting me know what you want to see, and I can work on getting that next video for you from Off Duty Gaming.